Hey, John Bracamontes here with Acumen Studio. Does social media work for B2B? That's the question. We're going to answer it here on this video. So, I'm going to take you through a series of B2B social media accounts. We're going to evaluate them. I'm going to talk about the importance of what's happening, but the differences between these different types of companies and why it has to be different for the type of company that you are and how large you are. Let's go into it. So let's take a look at the screen here. And if we look at A.P. Moller-Maersk, okay, this is a massive multinational company. They are huge, they are global, they are a big company. We can even see on their LinkedIn page here, they have almost 1 million followers on their LinkedIn page, which is extraordinarily difficult to get on LinkedIn. But this is a very big company with a lot of employees, a lot of partners, and a lot of customers. But what do? So they're in the transportation logistics business. They've got their hands in a lot of things. They're a huge B2B company. If you talk about behemoths in the B2B space, this is one of them. And the type of content they share is very well produced in many cases. This is a nice video that talks about what they do, how they are, in this case, accelerating fleet decarbonization, and while they do that with these specific ocean vessels that they have, right? Big production going into that. They have promotion of other of webinars and conferences that they're doing. They have pieces of customer testimonial that they've been doing. In this case, you've got the Maersk line on the Lego, right? So there's a lot of things that are happening here. It's a wide distribution. They're going to have informational content. They're going to have instructional content like you see with webinars. They've got brand building things that are more awareness and driving emotion and credibility and trust. All these things are happening at this company. But they are huge. So they have this massive audience to influence. So you can afford to create a well-produced video that you then put out on this site. That how do you measure success of placing a video like this on the page? You can't really. You can't really measure success from that as a B2B company. But what you do know is that it's a component of influence. And when you have an audience of 1 million people on a page like this, it's going to get in front of a lot of them. And a lot of those people are employees, a lot of those people are partners, and they will share it, and it will get additional visibility. In this case, we have 1 million followers on a page. This video has over 55,000 views. Now, it was posted a week ago and has some comments and has some shares. This likely was not promoted by ads in any way, but you can see 55,000 views when you have 1 million followers. That is a massive, disparate span of visibility there, right? So I would hope if I had 1 million that I'd get more from that. But that's why most B2B companies like yourself are probably hesitant. You don't really like social media. You're like, but here's the thing. Marketers love it. Why do marketers love it? Because it's their thing. They're in it. They're doing it. And so there's this love that we as marketers have for social because it's visual, it's engaging, we know we can put content out there. But then there's this hate that many companies have, especially B2B companies, because they're like, where's the value? Can you show me how I'm going to get a sale from this? How are we going to influence a buyer? We don't even have an audience. And so one could say, well, it's chicken and egg. You know, you need to get an audience so that you can sell to them, or you need to have things to sell. So if you're going to build this audience, you're going to do these things. Yes, you're going to do that, but you have to do it smart. And especially when you have companies like this are huge. They weren't doing social media 30 years ago, as it didn't exist. They got into it, and they were big when they got into it. So it had to build up. But it's very difficult for a B2B company to say we're going to build our company on the back of social, because that's not a model that's really been seen to be proven out as working well. With consumers, it's different. Consumers are on social. They're consuming it in a different type of way. But B2B just is not the same as it relates to that. So this is a big company. So they have a huge distribution of what they're doing. So the result of something that would cost another B2B company a lot of money, and if they're expecting a big return on it, this isn't going to do it. None of this content is going to do that for you, other than potentially webinars if you have an audience that you can share with. But a lot of this is just commercial and it's awareness and it's brand, which is still great. But if you're looking for leads and results to come from that, you're not going to get it doing this type of content. Let's look at HubSpot. HubSpot, different kind of audience. Just go looking at their Instagram for a reason. Instagram is probably one of the most hated channels by B2B companies. You don't have, you have the profile link you can click through. You don't even have the embedded links in the copy and the text of posts. And so it's engagement, right? Do I want to get this engagement? Do I care about these comments? Do I care about hashtags? Do I care about getting found? And the answer is it doesn't. The answer is yes and no. So if you want to get more visibility in any way, then you need to be here, right? But you, again, cannot rely on this as a channel that's going to produce a ton for you. HubSpot is a B2B company. HubSpot's primary target market are marketers. And marketers are all over Instagram. They're all over it, and they're posting, and they're sharing, and they're liking, and many marketers think that every company should be highly engaged in creating a ton of content inside of platforms like an Instagram. But as I'm saying to you now, the reality is this is not going to produce a ton for you. This is HubSpot. They have 405,000 followers. And this went out today, one day ago. And it's just these quick hits, quick leadership tip. Appreciate your people. Make a bigger deal when they are doing things right. Right? This is ancillary to what it is that they actually do. What they are is a CRM and marketing automation platform. This is nothing about CRM and marketing automation. It has everything to do with engaging an audience that has these types of ideas. I'm a marketer. I work at a company. I'm going to use this platform, or I use this platform, and I see someone saying, yeah, leadership should respect me. I'm a marketer. You should respect me and appreciate us. And I'm a manager, and I think about that for my team. Great. And you share it, and it just continues to grow your brand. That's great. But there is not an easy correlation to that happening to sales. You're not going to be able to measure it one-to-one. And again, middle-size and smaller B2B companies have to rely on that data. If you're putting money into this, there has to be a return where if you have money, if you have the type of money HubSpot has, you can invest in a lot of things and you're looking at macro KPIs. You're not going down to the level of how much did this post produce for me? How much over the past month did these things produce for me? Because you will look at engagement if you understand that you have a large enough audience to share content with, and the influence and the engagement that you get from that existing audience will result in retention, will result in more sales. You can start to run statistical analysis against that with fairly confident levels of confidence in those numbers. But as a smaller company, you can't do that. You have to do it, and it's a blind faith that it will help. And what I can tell you, though, again, having it here will help your visibility. If you Google your company, these types of things will show up. If someone looks for your company to validate whether or not they're going to do work with you, this can be that gut reaction to say, hey, I like it. Hey, they're posting content. None of their other people are posting it. This is great. They're ahead of it. They're on top of the game. They're staying modern. They're current. Those types of things are real, right? So you can make it a part of your content strategy, but you cannot overly emphasize that. Now, LinkedIn's different because LinkedIn can run ads against the targets that you want to be in front of. So having content that is active on LinkedIn is important if you're running ads that are going to make your company page more visible, and you need to make sure that it's filled with useful content, right? So let's just look at a different one here. We've got a firm, KRI Partners, real estate investment company. They're posting content here about they're speaking to their audience. What's the best type of real estate investing for you? Is it active or is it passive? Learn the differences between the two, the pros and cons. Click through, and speaking of HubSpot, here's a HubSpot link. So sharing that content so that if an investor is looking them up to see if they want to work with them, they want to come here and they see this content. In this case, as we progress through the year, multifamily real estate investments are getting more attention. You can't afford to miss out. Talk to us. Fear of missing out. Content on getting someone to engage and contact you to have a conversation. So this is all content related to their business, to their firm, and it makes sense and it's relevant and it's focused on consideration and getting them to engage. So this is a very single focus type of content. Engage consideration, direct response is what you're looking for here. Get someone to your website so that they will contact you or get them to contact you immediately. To differentiate between that, if we look at another investment firm, here's Clayton Capital Partners. They're posting regularly to their Facebook as well, but it's a different type of content. Here's a closed deal. Here's another closed deal. Here's 20 years of proudly serving clients. All trust building factors here. This again is that emotional gut response. Someone looks you up to see if, are you legitimate? Like, what should can I do something with you? Or you have existing customers, in this case investors or partners, that see this in their feed and they feel good about having worked with you because they see this stuff. I work with that company. That's great. I work with that company. So there's a retention aspect. There's a perspective and awareness. And you see things like the team outings. This can be good for recruiting. So again, there's more awareness level content that is being presented here. Less. Now here's a great Dealmakers Conference webinar. It looks like. But there's less educational content here where not as much direct response. It's more about self-promotion, which is fine, which is awareness. And so there's all these things. But again, if you're running this type of content, you can't expect a lot to come from that. And for middle-sized to smaller firms, B2B businesses, B2B companies, manufacturing, you really cannot rely on this as the sole thing that's going to get you the growth. It is a component that is necessary. So minimizing the amount of effort that needs to be put into it, but still make it somewhat effective is your goal here. You want to do that so that when people do find you, see you, they trust you, they believe it, they will work with you. It could be that defining factor. It could be the thing that tips them over the edge because you're the only one doing it. But focusing on how many more likes you got to this page, in this case 114, you're not going to set the next, end of Q4, we want to make sure that that's 175. What's that going to do for you? Nothing. The reality is nothing. Other marketers might say, let's get it up. We need to get that to 500, and that's going to do great for us. But that's false. Who are the people liking it? You start getting into these granular details that don't matter as much until you continue to grow all the way around, everywhere. So you want to make sure that people are finding you. What's the machine that's going to drive growth? If you're running ads and utilizing this, yes, because it gets you in front of the right people. It's controllable. It's scalable. This is not. You will get people that aren't the targets you want. It's a slower growth. It's slower to get results, but it does compound over time, and you will want to grow this audience. So doing something is going to give you growth here, but doing more in other areas that will get you the results, like more leads and more sales, when you don't have a large presence, is more important because it will ultimately allow you to grow a larger presence on social media over time, and then it becomes more effective for you. You have more case studies to share, you have more things to share, you have more customers to allow to profess your success for them, things like that. So just wanted to share that and go through these. If you are a middle-sized to smaller B2B company, do not focus on the likes on your pages. Do not focus on the likes on your posts or the comments on your posts. As much as every marketer wants that to be, I feel you. I have empathy for it. I have empathy for marketers listening to this right now. Marketers that will see this, outside of this, I have empathy for that because they are metrics that you want to see grow. But we have to also realize and be realistic that those are not the things that are going to help our companies in the short or mid-term. Longer term, yes, but that can be capitalized on easier when you've got more growth and more visibility across the board, the full spectrum of digital, if you will, there. So take a look at these. I actually would suggest going and look at these companies and just see what they're doing and think for yourself, if I was doing this, what would I do? What would I want to say to people that I think are focused on wanting to do business now? What's that consideration phase? For us, it's questions and answers that potential investors, potential businesses, potential partners, what do you sell? You have a service, you have a product. What are the things that people need to know about that they're asking? What are they asking? So that goes into other areas of marketing like SEO and keyword research and content and all these things. But what are those things? Because that's really what you need to be talking about on social media, and then sharing that and getting that in front of new people. Because if you're getting found in other areas as well, and they come to social and you're saying the answers to the questions that they have, they're going to work with you. So it works a lot better there. Quantifying it, though, is difficult, but you can definitely track those metrics from those who come from social over to your website, convert into leads, and especially with ads, you can do that as well. But that's different for talking organic social versus paid social. Paid social is a little more controllable. You can get in front of those targets. So anyway, I just keep going, and I could keep going, but I did want to talk through that. Does social media work for B2B? And the answer is it can and it does at different levels. But what type of company are you? Consider that first, and how much are you expecting to get from it? Because if it's a lot and you're a medium to small size B2B company, just wash that from your mind. Social can be a side project, can be something that you do but have low expectations on, other than it's contributing and it's playing a part, but it's a very small part. And in the future, when you grow from other things, you can make it a bigger part, and that's when it can get really fun. Otherwise, you're not going to have any fun running social if it's not producing for you, right? So that's it. I'm John Bracamontes here at Acumen Studio. Check our site out. Check our blog out. More tips, more ideas, more questions answered, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks so much.